So your film was very, very meditative. It was quite beautiful, actually. And the attention to detail was incredible. And so can you discuss the process of selecting each of the paintings in the film and how they reflect what Phambi is going through um, internally with this journey as he tries to get the money for his son?
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, first of all, for watching the movie. And I think in the process of selection of the paintings, I think it was something that we kind of co-create in a way. I mean, I kind of suggested Phambi to create and enhance the topic of woman in Mozambique. So, of course, I didn't want to tell him anything to interfere in his artistic process. So I didn't tell him what to paint and how to paint. But in a way, we co-created this space and this ambient where he had like the freedom of define what he wanted to paint. In the preparation of each painting and each scene, we had several discussions with Etnora, Paula, Phambi, about certain topics that will have allowed us to align in the perspective of what we wanted to experience. So the more we talk about contemporary African feminism based on the manifesto of Chimamanda Ngozi, which is an African writer and an activist of feminism, she describes the problematic or the topic in Africa, no? And she describes that it is important that we just not only focus our attention to, to the woman, but also to the men, that the men are suffering also quite a lot of being the ones that have to be tough and they cannot show their feelings, and they kind of like capture in a cage. And while the woman, differently to Western feminism ideologies, are just like that they have like the possibility to be empowered as well, taking advantage of being woman. And I think like based on this manifesto, we had several conversations and we defined like what kind of paintings we could just like be making during the process of the shooting. I think the first one, it is about how to show like the heritage of the African woman. So that was like kind of the topic. The second one was just like the men going out of the cage, which is represented by a man falling down from the sky, just like thinking about like how to start and get rid of this old mentality of being a macho and just seeing the woman as an object and so on and so forth. So I think that was like kind of the initiative of the creative process behind the paintings. And of course, we took the speeches of Graça Machel, which was the former ex-wife of Mandela, and also ex-wife of one former Mozambican president. And she also tries to explain the picture of the family. And I think it's a little bit of a different concept around that. So we wanted to just like, of course, highlight these theories and these manifestos throughout the pictures and throughout the movie.
Yeah, I like what you said about also highlighting the male struggle, because so much of it is interconnected. And so it felt like a collaborative effort, as you said.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, for me, I'm from Colombia, and I am living already since 22 years between, the most of the time in Germany, but I spent in the last 6 years quite a lot of time in Africa. So I'm quite new. I'm still learning. So for me, it was like a very important challenge to be in this learning process and taking my leads actually also, of course, from African intellectuals. And I was trying to read quite a lot and to inform me in a way that I didn't want to be like imposing anything, and I didn't want to to show anything that I don't know. That's why also like the movie has become very contemplative. I mean, it doesn't really go in a very strict direction, but it just like gives you and allows the spectator to create their own version of the story in a way, because I didn't feel like encouraged or empowered enough to just really tell a story that I don't control. No, I think like the cultural aspects, they are very complex, and I think it might take a few years more to understand them and to be empowered to just create something more complex about it.
Yeah, it's always quite intimidating when you kind of tackle an area that is not, I guess, your native. And I always respect artists that do it, because anyone can tackle anything with enough care and respect, I think. And I wanted you to discuss Phambi's like reflections, as they call them. And you don't have monologues. You just, it's like a monologue, but it's like not a monologue. And so can you discuss these reflections and how Phambi's own opinion of his art changes throughout the movie?
Yes, absolutely. I think like for me, it was important to just take some elements of, I mean, there was like one theater author in Germany called Bertolt Brecht, and he wanted to just like kind of create or to interrupt the feeling of the spectator to follow, I mean, to feel like inside of the movie. I mean, what he did is like he made the actors talk to the audience directly, no, and they just talk in a way like a monologue, no. It was not like a kind of an acting, but I wanted the people to really kind of perceive the things that they were just like transporting, because they were almost talking all the time about this manifesto of Chimamanda Ngozi, we shall all be feminists. So many of the dialogues, they will have been really close to what she wrote. So I wanted just like the people to understand this is like a not only a normal conversation, but always like something that I want to highlight. So I believe the transition to Phambi begins in his religion believer. I mean, he is a Rastafari, and Rastafaris, they have a very nice philosophy around like Rastafari should build his house, or Rastafari should be eating like very healthy, and they have a very strong philosophy, but at the same time they have like a mentality of protecting woman, no, and that the man has to protect the woman. So at the beginning it was kind of a let's say like a conflict, or like something that we discussed quite a lot with Phambi on how we can just integrate like these ideas and this vision of woman into his art. So we just like kind of through many conversations with Paula and Nora, try to make him understand that in a way in Africa, women tend to solve many problems, but they stay just like out of the light. No, they are out of the spotlight, but they are the ones that really are just like providing quite a lot. That they are much more persistent, disciplined. They are just like taking more about the family. And so with the transition of the time and shooting the movie, Phambi was already more open to that kind of mentality, and I think that's of course just like a starting point, and I don't believe I wouldn't say that the movie is just like a feminist movie. It is a starting point to show and to reflect and to open conversations around that, no. And of course it is also like a lot about freedom, no, because like everyone in the movie can be free to select what they want to do, no. So Phambi can be free to decide to be an artist. Nora can decide to be a model. Paula can decide to be a model and an activist. So in a way, in the actual situation in Mozambique, there is not always an election, no? You cannot always select what you really want to become. So this movie is trying to encourage I mean, many young people to decide, no, that they can just like, if they just believe and if they just like stick on what they are doing, they can be also free, no? And also like this reflection between the father and the son, and Ixon want to just like be also free, just like a playful child, very intelligent person. So I think this is kind of the result of what we try to approach, you know, like to make it as a little bit more experimental movie, make it very free, like try to talk about many topics, but as I said, no, I wouldn't feel really empowered to just deep into one topic and make like a lot of work around, but I prefer just like really to showcase Mozambique, the artistic scene, the woman scene, to make a starting point of a discussion.
Yeah, I like what you said about sometimes how the gender expectation in the politics, it does affect what kind of profession they go into and also how they behave in that profession. And so I wanted to ask, the final piece that the art dealer asks for is a very collaborative piece because she asks, I can only buy 3 paintings. So the first one was very masculine. The second one was very, you know, about him and this fall, like trying to get out of the cage. And then the last one was a nice mix of everything. You know, he collaborated with the models and it felt like he was working both ways.
No, and no, that's amazing that you just like really are sensitive enough to see that details. I mean, like, no, I mean, really in any other interview, anyone has noticed that, but it was like actually like this kind of development, no? I mean, exactly, though, like throughout the movie, Phambi will have like an internal change on his mentality and also like how to just represent something that he started to believe on, no? And I think like throughout this march, like on the Women's Day in Maputo, he kind of felt really, I mean, not only in the scene, but it was like a kind of a real moment that he was just like circled by this very strong woman and they were just like saying, come on, no? And I feel that he changed also like in a good way. He was always a very good person, but I think he starts now to understand that they can be like different ideologies and directions. And I believe that's, I don't know if that was conscious or subconscious, but his last painting was exactly that, you know, like a collaborative process on something that was important or was making a difference in his mind at that moment.
Yeah, very well said. And I want to know, who do you collaborate with to make sure that like you can be the best you can be? Because he was very in his head and it took him a long time to get out of it. So I can imagine for you as an artist, like how do you make sure you don't get stuck in your own head? Like who do you collaborate with?
Of course. I mean, like, I mean, in that process, I started to be aware that only having I mean, I was just, as I said, no, reading quite books about feminist activism in Africa, about like the Africa art diaspora. But at one moment, I felt like, no, no, no. I mean, if I really want to talk about that, I have to have a female perspective. And that's where my wife came in. I mean, Francisca Ruiz is my wife. I start to talk with her, no, about like, you know, I'm just kind of in a moment thinking like, what can I show, no? How can I just like really get into more closer atmosphere to Paula and Nora to talk about Phambi, to be more like taking decisions in the movie. And that's where she told me like, Carlos, but why don't you know, why don't you take moments where sisters will just like be more close, no? And that's where she told me like, yeah, why they don't just like sit in the room, paint their nails, discuss about like Phambi in that way. I was that was always in my life, you know, like I was sometimes forgetting getting like a female perspective. So without the years, I learned that this is not possible to do it. So I really try always to include a female perspective. In this case was Francisca Ruiz, my wife, who helped me out how to approach this topic in a better way.
Yeah, excellent. Sometimes it's good to kind of know what you don't know and seek that advice. And I was impressed.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
But I'm very amazed, really amazed about like how you can read all these elements out of the movie, because you are making exactly the right questions about the process. I just want to say that.
Thank you. And I think what I appreciated about Phambi is, he can make nothing into something. And I think the kite was a good example. Like maybe, what was it made of? Like trash or something? Like a trash bag or?
It was actually like when I went for the first times to Matola, the neighborhood of Phambi, I realized I saw like a few kids playing with a kite, and that was like a kind of gave me such a beautiful feeling of freedom. Like kids, they don't need much to be free and to play, and yes, I immediately thought that would be a very nice element, not only because it connects somehow like the city, no, in a way with the lines and the air, and the kites are kind of I see them like a kind of a hopes of the people that the future can be brighter and so on. The kite was made as they do it. No, I asked actually Phambi, okay, guys, let's do a kite with the elements that we require. So he walked just like an hour to find this specific plant that is made of. We we came back, we got them. No, we started like to look for. I think it was just like a trash bag that they used, and yes, I mean that's how the kite came into the movie as an element. Yes, but as I said, no, you can see like during the whole film there are a few kites on the sky, because I want to also highlight the children, no, and like the joy and the freedom that they need to have also to be playing and being happy, no. Exactly.
Yeah, like he kind of passes on that hope that not just, I think one of my favorite lines in your film is that the most valuable aren't those with money, but one with creativity, people that can actually not fear the system, but try to move in a different direction. And so I felt like that's also what he was passing on to his son. Like, sometimes as parents, you can pass on your fears,
Absolutely, no, and I believe like also Pambi is always trying to teach him about art, and is taking kids to the museum. He brings him to play, no, to play, and sometimes like in my culture, for example, Latin America, they the parents, they will just like try to make you an economist or a doctor, dentist, but it's like almost kind of crazy to believe that one artist living in Mozambique wants his son to be an artist, seeing that is a big challenge, no? Like when it comes to survive in a way, no? I mean that's also like the point when he goes to his maestro and he asks like for an answer. There is not an answer. That's like even like like a very hidden solution that I mean there is in a way, no? And Bambi's artist friends, they are also doing their way, but it's not easy, but there is a solution in a way. So I like the fact that Phambi also gives Ixon the possibility to define what he wants to be in his life.
Yeah, very good. And so what would your advice be to artists with limited resources who also want to make a living from their art?
I believe it is just like about taking the decision and making it, because I think like as it happened to me, I distracted myself quite a lot for many years in doing certain things which were close enough to art, but it wasn't because of ensuring my existence, no? I mean, like to making sure that I was earning enough money. So I was always trying to just like really leave that behind. I think you must be brave to take the decision to just like really start a project and bring this project to the end. so that it happens, and that's the only way how to accomplish that, no? And it's not to fear what is going to happen. It's just like to start doing it. And I think like there is always moments to correct and to get out of the being stuck by asking questions to persons that can support you, but just to start and not to really to avoid talking too much before, but just really like start and making it and be consequent, try to be disciplined, so that you come to an end. And I think like I feel very happy that I put this together, no? And I didn't also like in a way that I wasn't suffering or that I was just like really struggling. I tried to make it fun so that I can keep doing this in the future. And also with Phambi, Nora, and Paula, I really was putting a strong focus that they also had fun, that they enjoy it, that we don't work so much. It's just like we want to be free, no, as well. And I think, yes, I think that's like the best part of the movie was actually making the movie.
Yeah.
It's not the moment now. I mean, now I am here in Manhattan, meeting all these people, and it feels fantastic. But actually, like the biggest joy was actually being on set with them, trying to overcome challenges, situation. That was the whole joy for me.
Oh, wow.
I believe.
We said. So I thank you very much for your time today. I really enjoyed speaking with you.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very, very impressed about your reading of the movie. I'm very looking forward to see what comes out of the interview, and it's my pleasure to meet you. And please stay in touch. Really, what a lovely conversation.